Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits V.O.D, countless others end up D.O.A. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Korngut. I am the managing editor of Dread Central. I am also a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Development Hell. Today, we are talking about the Donnie Darko canon. We're going into the movies that have been made. We're talking about projects that have been canceled and also taking a look at the very strange future of this weird franchise. Today, we are back again with returning guest judge, Sharai Bohannon. How's it going?
It's going great. Happy to be back on my not podcast. That is my podcast. It feels right.
Sharai, for people that may not remember you because they're like a coconut fell out of the sky, could you reintroduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Yes, I am Sharai. I bother Josh at Dread Central. I mostly write streaming guides and about himbos and hotties on Netflix and things because I have a certain set of skills. I am also a podcaster. I'm one half of A Nightmare on Fear Street and 1/3 of Blurry Massacre, and I think 1/12-ish of the Alter Tapes now. And I am also just Drunk Girl Shenanigans on Twitter. So yeah.
Today we're, as I was saying, heading back into Donnie Darko territory.
It was planned once we figured out it was planned, yes. Welcome to our PCU, y'all, Podcast Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this phase 1?
It is. And next time we'll pick something that has a better sequel.
Yeah, this sequel was what I would say terrible. But it's something I've always wanted to watch. Is that something that you have ever thought once in your life?
Because I'm a finisher, I always wanted to watch it, even though I knew it wasn't going to be great. I didn't know it would be this bad, but I knew it wasn't going to be great, but I still was like, I'm going to do it. And to be fair, it feels right that we watched it in this decade where everything else is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very to theme of everything being terrible right now.
It's the sequel 2020 wanted us to have.
But S. Darko isn't all that there is. There's also the incredible Donnie Darko that we're going to dig a little bit into, and the oogie boogie spooky future of the Donnie Darko franchise. So, yes. Sharai, how would you feel if I was to give a little bit of a seminar on the original Donnie Darko?
I would love to go back to that time where Jake Gyllenhaal showered as far as we knew. Please take me.
He doesn't need to, in my opinion. So, back in the year 2001, we got the cult classic release of Donnie Darko. Anyone that is a millennial will remember the very impact of this strange little sci-fi feature. It was directed by Mr. Richard Kelly, who went on to direct such classics as Southland Tales and The Box. And then it was also produced by Flower Films, Drew Barrymore's production company. The movie itself stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Jenna Maloney, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Drew Barrymore, oh my god, I'm gonna have an absolute meltdown. Mary McDonnell, Catherine Ross, Patrick Swayze, Noah Weil, Stu Stone, Davia Chase, and James Duval. My friend, my accomplice, would you be able to do me a favor and, like, in your own words, gun to your head, what was this movie about?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Donnie Darko is an emotionally unstable teenager.
Don't read from the outline.
You did write that.
Don't read from the outline.
I said emotionally unstable. You have emotionally troubled. So like, why are we the same person?
I don't know. No, I really
Um,
want to like what happens when you just like look in your heart and you have to decide what this movie that is about nothing is about.
so yeah, he's an emotionally unstable teenager in the suburbs, and he has an imaginary friend who's telling him he's gonna die, the world's gonna end if he doesn't die, but he's not high, and that's concerning.
It is a method.
And he does a bunch of great deeds after he almost dies the first time. And then he
Mm-hmm.
finds out that all of his great deeds are not really necessary because he needs to go back in time and die so his family and the world will go on.
Spoiler
Um,
alert.
right?
Mm-hmm,
It's very
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
confusing. And I'm not sure I understand it, even though I love it. But I am dedicated to Sparkle Motion, and that's what really matters.
I think you did a really good job describing this movie that is, in some level, indescribable. I think we're dealing with themes like, interdimensions and time travel and teenage boys, you know, things that just go hand in hand. The movie was made for about $7.5 million. Nope. This movie was made for about 4. Nope. This movie was made for about $4.5 million and grossed about 7.5 million at the box office. So it made a little bit of money, but the more important factor here is that it would go on to be like a true cult classic of its time in creating big movie stars out of Jake Gyllenhaal and Jenna Malone.
Yes.
What are our personal relationships with this film? Like, what was it like with you encountering it for the first time back as a teen?
So I watched it when I was in community college because one of my friends couldn't believe I'd never seen it before because it was weird and I was weird. Well, I still am weird.
Mm.
And so we watched it. I'm like, oh my God, this is art. And I immediately watched it like 9 other times. And then I was like, I still understand it, but I still love it. Also, I was very thirsty about Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal, so that might be why I loved it a little bit while I was trying to figure out what it meant. Um, uh, I'm shallow, and
No, yeah, I don't have that many Hollywood crushes, but Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie, or even Jake Gyllenhaal of around this time, is one of like my biggest ones. I wouldn't say
listen,
that. Yeah, yeah. You know what was even bigger for me? Was he? Oh no, it was Tobey Maguire that was in the Cider House Rules. That was
you
a turning moment for me.
you're the only other person I know who's seen the Cider House Rules. I watched as a kid because Tobey Maguire was there, and I was like, I don't know what I saw,
I have to
but
rewatch
I like.
that and just be so horny for that movie. I hope that he's an adult in it, so I'm not gonna go to jail.
I don't because he's older than me is what I tell myself. I don't ask questions because I find these things and I'm like, I remember being into him, and I need him to stay older than me. Um,
Are we allowed to have crushes on characters that were older than us when we first encountered them, but are now like, you know,
we
on the
have
bubble?
to because
On the
Devon
bubble?
Sawa was Casper, so we don't have a choice.
Okay, good. My personal relationship with this movie was I was an average 13-year-old boy, and there was just something about being like a preteen boy when this came out where it was just, I don't know, ubiquitous. Like it really disrupted so many of our worldviews. It went to show that like it was. Correct me if you think I'm not right about this, but it was kind of like philo- philosophy for dummies, kind of.
Yeah, because a lot. Look again, I found this when I was in community college. I taken one philosophy class, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, this is trying to blow my mind." But my mind can't be blown anymore because like life is happening.
Hmm.
So I'm just gonna watch Jake Gyllenhaal almost jack off on his therapist's couch and wonder what would have happened if she just let him work.
Yeah, I was anti that therapist, but we can talk about that a little bit more down the line.
She's not the best.
So Jake G in this movie, other than his weird hair, which kind of looked like uh, a wig, but I'm sure it wasn't.
I needed to be a wig because it was real bad.
Did it seem like a wig to you?
I tell myself that, but I because he's Jake Gyllenhaal, he might have just been like, "Yeah, comment forward. I'll just be this way for 4 months."
It's
Because
kind of what a lot of boy hair was, though, in like the early 2000s, and I blame the Harry Potter movie series.
it was bedhead with also I've smoked too much with also I maybe don't shower.
Hmm. Or I showered the second before I went to bed and didn't dry my hair.
Yes, it's to go back to Devon Sawa because why not? It's very
Hmm.
much his hair energy and idle hands.
Drew Barrymore, speaking of hot. So, I mean, we've talked about this, and I think maybe we've had different opinions in the past. But I find her in this movie to be like stunning, stunnalitra, scalding, beautiful.
Yes, I think it's they tried to age her up because she's not old enough for the role they gave her, and so she's living her best life in these like pantsuits.
I see you've said that to me before, and we've had this violent agreement. No, we've had this violent disagreement a number of times. But when I was in grade 9, like the most important teacher of all time, she was 26.
I'm sure she was, but the character they wrote for her, Drew Barrymore, is older than Drew Barrymore. Like I
Oh
looked at it,
my
I
God.
Wikipedia it. She was not 30 when she got this role, and this was an older woman coming out of Drew Barrymore's face.
Oh
And I was like,
my
no.
God. You could be right, but I'm not looking at it like that. I want to talk about Jenna. Okay, every time I say Jenna Malone, is it Jenna Maloney or Jenna Malone?
Jenna Malone.
I like both.
I think you have Maloney because of 30 Rock. Like it's ingrained in us.
I love her in this movie, although she's very a certain archetype of the time, and it's not manic pixie dream girl because it's not quite on that level, but it is definitely this like mysterioso teenage girl written through the male gaze that doesn't completely work, but like I definitely bought when I was in high school.
This was definitely that weird era where they're like, women can have problems too, but also don't talk to them. So
Yeah,
we're just
they can
gonna.
have problems, but they really want to have sex with you.
Because literally, she's like, I think that he came back for my mom if she's missing and our house is torn apart. Get your pants off, Donnie. And I'm like, you know what, girl? Get it when you can. But also, are you not worried about your mom right now?
When I'm in severe trauma, the first thing I do is have sex. So, like, I can't say that's 100% inaccurate.
I mean, that's all I would be doing in this decade. So, like, I'm getting
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
What?
They did not have Pinterest or Discord. So, what were they doing?
Listen, riding Donnie.
Wonder what that grinder grid looked like in this town. It's just what's his face? Rogan? Not Joe Rogan.
I mean, probably Joe Rogan, though.
Who am I trying to talk about?
The Patrick Swayze character? Or
No, the one from Knocked Up. Seth Rogen.
Oh, yeah, Seth Rogen. I like
Yeah.
your boobs.
I like your boobs.
Was his literal first line, I like your boobs. And I'm like, Seth, good sir. What?
So, do you think that the interdimensional time travel bullshit of this movie was built in effectively? Or do you think it was kind of a little bit, how do you feel like it suited the film?
It felt like somebody had an idea for something that was very complicated and they wanted it to go in to this movie, even if it didn't necessarily work with the movie. But I don't. It was just confusing because you're like riding along, you're like, oh, okay, this engine failed. Okay, we might have some time travel, and then let's explain it to you. And it's like, what did you just say to me? And I'm like the gif of Winona Ryder being confused on stage while they're getting into War Stranger Things.
It's the funniest thing in the world. I kind of agree with you, even though it works so effectively in this film and I completely forgive it. If you go and take a look at Richard Kelly's other filmography items, it's kind of like, oh yeah, are you just being weird and not really saying anything specific? And you're like letting me fill in the blanks. And if you are, that's okay too. I don't mind filling in the blanks. When it comes to the weird portal CGI chests, I still don't totally understand what those were all about. Can you fill me in?
I did not like those portals coming from the chest because they look like weird, almost predator penises.
They
'Cause,
did
you know-
have a penis vibe to them.
Right? And I'm like, so we're all being pulled around by like invisible penises? Because I don't like that narrative. That's very. It's a very patriarchal. I don't know if I want
I
to be
mean,
that.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I'm open to thinking. I'm open to brainstorming. I'm open to the brainstorm.
I mean, if it's all Jake Gyllenhaal penis, then like, perhaps I could be swayed. But like, I don't know. I want to see the guest list.
So of course we also have Maggie Gyllenhaal here playing his sister.
Yes,
I think this is before she really broke the bank. Do you think this was a favor, or do you think this is something that she was like psyched to do?
I think somebody, probably the casting director, was like, I know these two Gyllenhaals are going to be somebody. Let's get them in here. And also confuse all the kids. Because there's like, he's hot and she's hot. What is happening?
Maybe it's just because I'm gay, but I've never really been on the Maggie Gyllenhaal train.
I feel like her and her brother look enough alike to where it gets very confusing for those of us who think they know who they are.
And then, of course, we've got Devaya Chase, the leader of Sparkle Motion, aka the little dance troupe that's in this film. really piecing it together. And he has a surprising role in the terrible sequel that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, Sparkle Motion. You know what? They deserve our attention and our time.
The only all girl group I care about anymore.
Yeah. That would be kind of an amazing sequel, as if it's like bring up back all the members of Sparkle Motion and like they have to like, I don't know, survive death or something, kind of like Final Destination, but with Sparkle Motion.
That's what I wanted. I wanted her to be like, oh no, now that we're out here with our dance troupe for this competition, regionals, if you're a Glee person, maybe I could stop the world from ending if we do it right. That would have been so cute. That would have been so great.
It's an 80s movie, and it doesn't really knock you over the head with 80s movie vibes in the way that some period pieces do. Do you think it's an effective period piece?
Oh yeah, I can smell the 80s. I wasn't there for the 80s, but I could smell the 80s from this movie.
Yeah, me too. And it was in subtle ways. Like they're using needle drops that aren't needle drops that you're seeing anywhere else, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's an experience. Like it
It's.
feels like I time travel.
Did you think it was going to hold up when you
I
watched
did
it?
not. I had no faith in it. I was like, it's gonna be bad. I don't want it to be bad. I almost changed the movie 9 times. You remember those?
That's very classic us. We're like the day before we have yet to decide what the topic is.
I decided
agree
for
with
wailing. Do you have time for this?
I wasn't sure this was going to hold up either. And the first few shots, I was like, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. And then the more it goes on, the more, it wraps you up around its finger. And it doesn't necessarily make sense. And I don't know if it's really deserving of everything that it's setting up. But there's just something about it that really taps into a certain part of our, I don't know, our adolescent psyches. And I'm like still grateful for this movie.
She is the drag queen that I like, but I didn't want to win, but she won, and I'm not mad.
Sasha Velour.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I was mad because that was Shay season.
I would agree. Or even Peppermint.
Yes, Peppermint for sure.
Not Trinity though. Sorry.
No. Love you now, Trinity.
Perpetual no. Final Four.
Listen. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
I guess that's not true because she did win once. Sort of. Jake Gyllenhaal, Drew Barrymore, Jenna Malone, interdimensional bullshit, time travel, sparkle motion. Sharai, why do you think people love this movie the way that they do?
I think because most of us just have nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. And so we all saw this when we were youths. And we're like, I remember trying to get sci-fi with it, with Jake Gyllenhaal. And we have a special place for it. And it is a moment. It's not trying to do anything bigger than it is. Like, it's a tiny movie with a big idea for time travel.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that, actually. I think it is trying to be bigger than it is, but it kind of works.
But, like, it knows its lane is the thing. Because, again, it's a tiny movie that happens to be, like, also penis worms are taking you through the future. And it's like, okay, Mr. Kelly. Mm-hmm. But then it goes right back to being small.
Did you remember it being a Halloween movie?
No. Every time I remember that, I'm shook.
Me too, because it doesn't give me Halloween spooky ooky vibes, and that's okay. But, like, it just definitely did not remember.
No. Like, and the sad part is that I'm like, oh, yeah, they were in costumes. That would make sense.
Yeah, he was a skeleton.
Right? Because leave it to Donnie to do the least.
Ugh, I had this really hot boyfriend, and 2 years in a row he was Donnie Darko for Halloween. I have to say it was hot. And he was luckily we were broken up long before COVID hit, but he was one of the people in Canada where like the one province that were like, we don't care about COVID, be free, was Alberta. And like all of our idiots pilgrimaged to Alberta, and he was one of them. But he was also really into conspiracy theories, so it makes sense. Am I allowed to talk about this? Can I get sued?
I mean, you didn't say any names.
His name was Roberta Sparrow. Yeah, he was cute. So, any final thoughts on the OG DD?
Just that it was a delight to see Patrick Swayze because we did not have that much more time with him. I found out today he was gonna do the sequel, but he was sick, and so he couldn't, and then he died like a month after the movie came out.
Oh, was he supposed to be the priester?
Yep.
I have so many questions for this movie that we're about to dig into, including was he evil? But a good way to segue into talking about the sequel to Donnie Darko that was unfortunately created. So as I said today, we're talking all things Darko. We're talking Donnie Darko, S. Darko, and the future of Darko. And my condolences, but this is the time of the episode where we have to talk about the 2009 direct-to-video sequel, S. Darko. Sharai, can I give us an unfortunate seminar on this unfortunate film?
You're gonna have to, because this movie watched me. I did not watch it.
This movie absolutely watched me. S. Darko, directed by Chris Fisher, shame on you, and starring Devaya Chase once again from the first movie, Brianna Evigan, and surprise, surprise, Ed Westwick, aka Chuck from Gossip Girl, is, I guess, a direct sequel to the movie that came out 8 years prior. In this movie, you're getting to pay more attention to the little sister of Donnie, Samantha Darko. And she too is troubled by hallucinations of a doomsday approaching and misses her brother who died under mysterious circumstances. She's sleepwalking, she's hallucinating, she could be time traveling, and she's in a spooky small town that houses about 10 people. Our good friend Richard Kelly, who brought the first film into the world, was not pleased with this monstrosity. So here's something he said not that long ago. To set the record straight, here are a few facts I'd like to share with y'all. I haven't read this script. I have absolutely no involvement with this production, nor will I ever be involved. So yeah, he didn't seem like he wanted to get into the mix, but Chris Fisher, the director, claims to have been a fan of the original film. And do you think that's possible after seeing what he ended up
No,
creating?
he never watched that movie because he did not understand what it was about.
No, he absolutely didn't watch that movie and he didn't understand what it was about. Speaking to PopMatters magazine, Richard Kelly had some other defamatory things to say about S. Darko, including, I hate it when people ask me about this sequel because I had nothing to do with it. And I hate it when people try to blame me or hold me responsible for it because I had no involvement. I don't control the underlying rights to the Donnie Darko franchise. I had to relinquish them when I was 24 years old. I hate when people ask me about it because I've never seen it and never will, so don't ask me about this sequel. Those people are making lots of money. They're certainly making lots of money. Do you think people made lots of money off of this? I have a hard time
No.
believing that.
No,
I
they
don't
made lots of internet comments, probably.
yeah. It kind of exists in the landscape of like mid to late 2000s direct to video sequels that I'm a little bit obsessed with, although they're of course terrible. But there's something lost about this era of direct to video sequel that I find kind of charming and even maybe a little bit mystical. You know, I'm talking about Urban Legend 3, I Know What You Did Last Summer 3, this movie. They're like movies that don't exist but kind of do, and they kind of have a, are you ready for it, liminal quality. Does that mean anything to you?
You mean the movies that time was trying to forget?
Yeah, but like, you know what I think a part of is I never really have the strong hard facts to back this up, but in the late 2000s, this is when the DVD boom was really reaching its end. And so when the DVD market was thriving, people were spitting out $1 million, $2 million all the time for whatever property they owned because it would sell on DVD. And because of that, we have all of these bizarro, poorly made, quickly made extensions to beloved properties. And even though they're all terrible, I'm still kind of grateful for them because they're just like these strange little footnotes in pop culture history that I'm kind of obsessed with.
That, and whenever I see a bad movie, I feel better about whatever I'm going to do with
Oh,
my
fuck.
own life.
Well, what's worse, this or I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer?
Oh. This is.
Come
There are
on.
no winners for
It's
this.
I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, I feel like.
There are no winners in this one.
There's no winners. Just like in Alien versus Predator, no matter who wins, we lose.
I think I'll always know is worse, but I can't prove it.
I think it is too, because that movie just like looks like, you know what that movie looks like? You know, like when you're at summer camp and like you don't have real paper towel, you have brown paper towel.
Yes.
Like that's what that movie is. Like real movies are real paper towel, and that movie was brown paper towel.
No, it's definitely the one ply tissue at the job you don't want to be at.
Yo. Wow. And you and I should know better than anyone else that like when we're making this kind of content, sometimes the creators are listening. And if you're listening, what have you done? No.
They
No,
did.
we love you, honey. Back into the world of S. Darko. Were you surprised? Were you shocked? Were you appalled when when Mr. Ed Westwick appeared?
Yeah, because I was like, is this before or after he was supposedly canceled? Even though we don't really cancel people.
Definitely before. This was 2009, and I think Gossip Girl started around 2007.
Oh, so yeah, nobody was talking about what he was doing then. So yeah, because it was weird. I've not seen him since Gossip Girl because why would
He was in J. Edgar. Remember the Leonardo DiCaprio movie about J. Edgar Hoover?
I didn't know that existed. I don't really hang out with Leo. He knows why.
No. I don't hang out with him either. But every time we fuck, he keeps his AirPods in, and I find it really weird.
Because he's an older millennial. He thinks it makes him look cool. I mean, sometimes it's for the best. I try to talk to men anymore, and so I just gotta go through all kinds of difficult lengths.
Yeah, so Ed Westwick, I think we said it, but we're saying it again. Chuck from Gossip Girl. Okay. Yeah, he was canceled. I'm assuming for sexual misconduct. Does that sound right?
He was definitely one of the Me Too'd.
Gossip Girl does not reflect him as a person. The fact that he did it in real life does reflect it as a person.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Also, he's just not that great of an actor, so I don't know why people were like, let's make him a thing.
He's not a thing. You know who kind of is a thing? No, she's not, but I want to talk about her. Devia Chase.
You make fish happen. Go for it.
So I'm aware, I think you're aware, so let's put you on the spot. What other horror properties is Miss Chase famous for? Do you know?
Of course not.
So she plays Samara from the Ring, the sequel. Not the sequel, the American remakes.
Yeah, you did tell me that. I forgot again.
But I don't know if she's in the Ring 2. There's a chance maybe she's not. But yeah, so she plays Samara in the Ring, iconic. She also is Lilo of Lilo and Stitch fame. And most importantly, she plays S in S. Darko. So yeah, this movie's bad. What did you think of it?
It was awful. I
hated this movie.
I didn't know it was gonna be that bad. Like, because it's one thing to watch a bad movie, but it's nothing to be like, why is this happening to me? I need us to acknowledge that we are the only two people to rent this movie in the last decade.
I don't know if it's true, but I would be okay if it was.
It was. We've rented it so people don't have to.
Yeah.
We are heroes.
So to promote this movie, the studio decided that they're going to create a unquote viral marketing campaign, which consisted of 3 videos uploaded to YouTube. I watched them. Who cares? So Rotten Tomatoes gave the movie a 13% based on 8 critic reviews, which is really sad. There are 2 things I want to talk about before we skip over into the reason why we're here today. The things that I found offensive in this movie were Iraq Jack and the homophobia.
Oh,
Is there a chance I could get to speak? You could speak to the Iraq Jack bullshit.
I mean, first off, it's in the name, but like, the friend whose name I forgot her name again.
It's fine.
Yeah. She was just here to be canceled. She only said things that were awful and offensive, and they weren't even jokes or anything that was like biting or funny. It was just sort of like, I'm dropping these words, I'm dropping that word, and now I'm saying this word. And I'm just like, why is this like a horrible, awful categories of offensive words? But like Iraq Jack is definitely every stereotype that you would imagine a veteran. Yeah,
we don't like him.
We didn't like him. I disassociated, and we're back.
Yeah, in my viewpoint, so what was he doing? He was like this veteran who everyone was sort of weirded out by because he was still sort of like dressed in military gear walking around town being all spooky. And I think people assumed he was the one that burned down a church. And I really wish that they weren't referring to him as Iraq Jack. It seems really rude.
There are so many choices, and this did not need to be one of them. It just didn't.
Yeah. And the homophobia was rampant. We have a moment with our two lead characters, both ladies. I don't know why that makes it worse. And they turn to this nerd guy who's also a possible romantic interest. And one of them goes, "Aren't you one of them gays?" to like freak him out. And he's like, no. And as they're leaving, the nice one turns to him and says, "I don't think you're one of the gays." And I thought, fuck all of you. You're all the gays, actually.
Listen.
I hate this movie, and I never want to see it again. And I'm so sorry I made you watch it today. Do you forgive me?
I forgive you because I was going to watch it eventually anyways, but now I can blame it on you. But I still might fight Amazon. I might be like, you know what this movie was. You're going to be buying it. How dare you?
And you can like request your money back from Uber Eats, and you're like, this was rotten.
It's not what I wanted.
This was supposed to go to my neighbor, and I ate it. So give me my money back.
Listen, you only gave me half a movie.
I'm going to give you half a fist. No, that's rude.
I mean...
Mm-hmm. How would you feel if I got into a little bit of the main reason we're here today? Talk about a possible unproduced sequel and the future of Donnie Darko.
I'm here to hear about the DD future.
So most of the information that I could find are coming from quotes from Richard Kelly, who is the creator of the original film. So in 2017, Kelly was speaking with HMV, and here's what he had to say. "I think there's something much bigger and more ambitious to do in that universe. It's big and expensive, and I think there's time to get what I want to make and make sure we've got the budget to do it justice and not compromise anything. Another story in this world needs resources, and, well, we need to have that in place. I need to get my next film out of the gate, and then we can go back and look at it." In a separate interview with Coming Soon, Kelly expanded, saying, "Well, I'm probably not allowed to say anything more than there's been an enormous amount of work completed. I'm hopeful that we might get to explore that world in a very big and exciting way, but we'll see when that happens. But there has been a lot of work done, and a lot of work has been done." And perhaps most interestingly enough, Kelly had met James Cameron at the Visual Effects Society Award show back in 2010. Reportedly, the director of Titanic and Avatar, and now Avatar The Way of Water, had seen Donnie Darko, and he'd watched it twice, and on quote, he had found it very disturbing, and he took Kelly aside to ask him some questions. And basically the gist was he asked Kelly, James Cameron asked Richard Kelly, what happened to Donnie? I started explaining it all to him, Kelly said, and he pointed at me and said, "You should keep working on that." It made me think that there was something really big, something epic that could be done, and that's what I've been focusing on. As recently as 2021, when speaking with Rolling Stone, Richard Kelly was talking about the 20th anniversary of Donnie Darko, and this is when he disclosed, "There's so much information in Donnie Darko. I've been processing it for 2 decades. But I think really in the past 5 years or so, since Trump was elected, I've been really digging into it and working to see what the bigger world of the film could look like." Sharai, will we ever see a legitimate sequel to Donnie Darko?
I don't think so, and I'm sad about it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Maybe they'll use the property on TV or something down the line, but I don't think they should.
Like when we're 60, there'll be a show on sci-fi, and we'll be like, I remember Donnie Darko.
Sharai, where can you be found on the internet?
You can find my personal drunk girl shenanigans at Miss Sharai on Twitter and Instagram. You can find A Nightmare on Fear Street at Nightmare Fierce on Twitter. And you can find Blurty Massacre at Blurty Massacre on Twitter as well.
Well, you heard her. Find her online. Week, everybody, and I hope you tune back in for another episode of Development Hell. Thank you so much for listening to Development Hell. If you enjoy this podcast, then please do us a major favor of leaving us 5 stars and writing a positive review. It really makes all the difference in the world. We'll see you next week with a brand new episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.